it's okay to pivot. Even going to like the big things, it's like the sunk cost fallacy where you've put so much into something. We felt like that leaving the military, even on a very large scale. Life is just a giant iteration. And so when we pivoted, it was a big pivot after planning to do 20 years in the military and retire. And once we saw that was not what the Lord had for us, that was just a macro scale iteration. And so I just want to encourage everybody to expect iterating to need to happen.
Welcome to the Simplified Organization Podcast, 15-minute conversations with real moms about managing our homes and family life cheerfully to the glory of God. We can actually enjoy housework and love being homemakers when we focus on truth and work with gratitude. I'm Mystie Winckler, homemaker for 22 years, homeschool mom of 5 with 2 graduates, and author of the book Simplified Organization, Learn to Love What Must Be Done. I write and podcast at Simply Convivial, and I run Convivial Circle, a community helping women to excel at homemaking and do life cheerfully. And today I'm joined by one of our members of Convivial Circle, Mairin. Mairin is a Christian, wife of 8 years to her husband Michael, and mom of 7, ages 7 down to newborn. Once a military spouse, she and her husband left the Army life after 7 years of service to join their church community and plant roots in North Carolina with her parents. She considers herself a serial hobbyist, loves home educating her children and herself using Charlotte Mason's principles, and hopes to eventually create a generational family business with her husband. So thank you so much, Mairin, for joining me today.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
So I would just love to hear a little bit more of your backstory and what life was like, what that prompted you to join Convivial Circle, and then what life has looked like moving forward from that. I know you've finished our community coaching program and become a mentor in the community. So that's been great. I think you joined while you were still in military life. Is that right?
Yes, we were finishing up and we had moved here, but my husband was on his way out when I joined, and I do wish I had found it earlier because military life was basically trial by fire in the iteration department. And as I was thinking about this in preparation, I think it goes all the way back to like I'm 30 for anybody listening to have some perspective, but I'm 30. And so my generation, I feel like we very much grew up, those of us in typical public school setting, the concept of iteration was just not even a thing. Everything was very black and white, yes or no, A or B. I felt like I was constantly in pretty much every area of my life trying to find the best answer that I could stick with forever. And if it didn't work long term, then I had just found the wrong thing and I needed to keep looking. So, in looking for something like Convivial Circle, I had read all of whether it was a self-help organization type books or Marie Kondo stuff, and just trying to figure out, we were adding children so quickly between having twins and foster care, and I felt like everything was starting to get out of control. But I knew that there's a certain amount of faithfulness in keeping things in order for our family to work well. And so a lot of those kinds of resources that at least that I came across didn't really apply to mom life. So there were great principles in there, like in Stephen Covey books, but when you go to apply it to mom life, it falls short, or it makes you feel like you're falling short when you can't find a way to make it work. And so, anyways, it was great I heard about Simply Convivial on a podcast, and it sounded like exactly what I needed. And then I came across the concept of iteration just in all of the teaching and the stuff that we learned. So that's how I came to the concept of iteration, and also came to Convivial Circle.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. It's so funny that it's true. Like, I remember my husband explaining iteration to me from the software developer side of things. And then I was like, wait a second. Like, this actually applies to just life because we don't know what's coming up. We can't make one plan that lasts for forever.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just apply that principle in every single setting inside convivial circle. And one way I know that you have iterated and figured out making things work for just you and what you need is doing your weekly review on Thursday. And so I would love to hear like some of your iterations to get to that point and what makes Thursday work so well for you. Because I think with a weekly review, I know my temptation is to think, well, I can't do it until the week is completely over and we're ready for that perfect reset time right in between. So tell me about your Thursday weekly review.
That's a perfect example of iteration because I went through many. I'm trying to remember if I started on Friday or on Monday. I want to say I started on Monday and then realized, well, it's already Monday. So I'm already behind
Already
if
behind.
I'm
Yeah.
starting on Monday, unless I'm somehow doing it for the next week, but that doesn't make sense. So I remember I bumped it back, and I think I did that for a couple weeks, and I was like, this just doesn't feel right to me. I don't need to be doing this on Sunday. I need to be focusing on other things. So then I bumped it back to Saturday, but then Saturday is when we do a bulk of our hosting people because we have so many little kids. Sundays, we are not going to make it to evening worship unless everybody gets home, gets a nap, can get up and rally. So hosting on Sundays in between services is just not what we can do right now. So we do Saturday night. And that just didn't leave me enough time, like planning for that Saturday night, unless I had done it the week before. But then that was almost too much time for
Yes.
it to go grocery shopping. And if I get stuff on Monday for Saturday and it's raspberries, it's probably not great anymore. So that didn't work. And then I pushed it back to Friday. And I can't remember what it was about Friday. I think it was still, I just needed another day. Or I had something else that came up on Fridays for a season, which made me um, bump it back to Thursday because I just don't, for some reason, Thursdays, I just don't have much going on in life. And so it ended up being on Thursdays. So on Thursday, I sit down and I do my weekly review, and it gives me enough time for Saturday to prepare. I still have a full day to prepare for Saturday and Sunday, and then have the next week. But I also do plan 2 weeks in advance. So when I do my weekly review on Thursday, I will have already mapped out a bulk of that coming week at the previous weekly review. So I jump ahead to
Oh.
the next week, look at what events I have coming up, look at what projects I'm working on, and pencil those in so my brain at least knows, okay, coming up soon. I have that. But that was also another iteration of realizing I really need more than 1 week at a time to be planning and thinking for these things. So then that was added on later. None of this was figured out on the first go.
Well, that's such a good thing to remember because I think that's what we're always hunting for is the one right way to do things and just install that and then it'll be good to go on the first try. And if it doesn't work the first try, yeah, it's totally wrong. Completely scrap it and start over. And instead, it's like learning from each time, like, oh, maybe I should try this and try that. So I love how you ended up figuring out that it was really Saturday that you needed to prepare for more than just a weekly review, just a week chunk. It's like actually what this is helping me do is prepare for Saturday. So that shifts the focus of when is best because of
Yeah.
what am I really preparing for?
Yes. Like what requires the most physical preparation. So
Yeah.
for me, that's Saturday, usually.
So then what are you looking at when you're preparing for hospitality on Saturday and then also thinking 2 weeks ahead? How does that work out?
Usually, now that my parents have moved here, Saturday nights tend to be family and maybe one other friend from church or something. So I'm thinking about who's coming. I do try to keep it very simple now. I used to save Saturdays to be my fun day to try a new recipe. And now we're grilling meat. We have green beans, rolls, and I give somebody either bring some ice cream for dessert or just keeping it really simple where we can do a bunch of food really easily, which really helps the planning as well. So keeping it simple like that has really helped the planning where I don't have to do a ton
Mm-hmm.
at one time. And so, but with hosting, I also try to prepare on Saturday for the Lord's Day on Sunday and setting myself up really well so that I can rest from my ordinary work. And that does take a lot of preparation, especially as your family grows. And so I do spend a lot of Saturday as my sixth day of work preparing for the Sabbath. So I can actually take a rest and not feel bad taking a nap because there's all this I have to do for Monday. So that's another thing that I try to plan for on Saturdays as well.
Yeah. So what kind of things do you do on Saturday to prepare for that Sunday?
A lot, just making sure I at least run the dishwasher and I don't have any crusty dishes because crusty dishes left over for a whole day usually does not end well. Making sure laundry is done and put away. If anything, I'll run an extra load Saturday night late just so that I know we have what we need for Sunday and for Monday. And I also have set Monday as a reset day. So the expectation from myself is that until lunchtime, pretty much, I have a list of things that we just try to tack off. So I know on Sunday, if it's starting to bug me, seeing the clothes on the floor or seeing the dishes or whatever is bothering me, I know, okay, first thing tomorrow morning, I have it set aside that it's going to be taken care of. So that way I don't have to stress about it on Sunday, knowing that I have that time set aside. So I guess to have the Sabbath that I feel like I need in order to keep going throughout the week, I guess it is half of Monday, knowing I have that set aside, and probably the second half of, or pretty much a whole Saturday, to prepare. I think that's like the most practical stuff I do is trying to get as much done ahead of time as I can so I'm not scrambling Monday morning.
Mm-hmm. And then I bet your plan that you're making Thursday, then you're looking at again on Monday after that day of rest. I feel like, okay, now wait a sec. I know I made a plan. Where is that? What's going on? Now,
Yes.
how do you look at that? Do you have a weekly dashboard? What are you looking at and continuing to iterate day by day?
I have a paper planner. I also use a Google Calendar that my mom and my mother-in-law, because they're both in town, all have access to. So we can look and see what everybody's doing and when I might need some help or whatever. So it really is a community effort right now, which is
Nice.
great. But I love my paper and my paper planner. I just can't let go of it. So I have a plum paper planner because they're customizable. So
Mm-hmm.
I have it set up where I've got each day and I have a one, two, three. And so I've got my top three for each day just right there in my planner. So my planner is really set up as my weekly dashboard. And I also have a chalkboard wall so my husband can see what's going on. And I guess it's a plug for Convivial Circle. I save posting in Convivial Circle for Monday because I know I need to revisit it on Monday. And so having somewhere where nobody's like necessarily expecting me to post, but I'm expecting me to post. So sharing my top three and my focus for the week, looking back at the week before and quickly thinking through again, what did I not get done? Why did I not get it done? Is there another way? Is there something that I can fix for this week just to iterate, do it better? It really does help to have an accountability spot that's very low pressure, like there are no pressure, but for me to know that is a date I've set with myself that I need to keep doing that on Monday instead of like on Friday or Saturday or Thursday when I do my weekly review makes me revisit it again. And there's always someone that will leave a nice encouraging note or something. And it's good to see what other people are doing too, because sometimes we'll leave like little notes in there, like, oh, this didn't work well last week, or oh, I fell off the wagon. And so getting to see what's working well for other people or what didn't work has often spurred something in my mind that I can put into practice for myself.
That's great. Yeah. It is. And I've even seen people, it's like, this has been on your list for 3 weeks. Are you really sure that's something that you need to be doing?
Yes.
Give one another reality checks.
Yes, exactly. Or you just had a baby. It's okay. We've all been there. It's a crazy time. Give yourself a little grace. So,
Yes. All right. Well, do you have a final like tip or idea for other people to try? I feel like iteration and is a mindset shift that is so helpful. And you gave some great examples. Do you have any kind of parting idea to share with everyone?
I guess it's just good to remember that this does apply to every area of life. So whether it's homeschooling, if the curriculum didn't work out halfway through the year, it's okay to maybe start heading in a different direction if you feel like you need to, or whether it's a meal plan that you had and something comes up and you need to have grilled cheese instead that night. It's okay to pivot. Even going to like the big things, it's like the sunk cost fallacy where you've put so much into something. We felt like that leaving the military, even on a very large scale. Life is just a giant iteration. And so when we pivoted, it was a big pivot after planning to do 20 years in the military and retire. And once we saw that was not what the Lord had for us, that was just a macro scale iteration. And so I just want to encourage everybody to expect iterating to need to happen, that it's good and it's okay. And I think that the Lord often puts us in a position to have to iterate so that we're reminded to lean on Him, because it really does require a lot of dependence on the Lord in order to iterate well and to get wisdom from the Spirit. And also ask your husbands what, if you're married, ask your husband what priorities he has, which will help you iterate well for the whole family and not just for you, or not just for the homeschooling routine. That's been very helpful for me as well. So those are my parting, encouraging, big picture words.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. Such helpful reminders. Thank you so much for joining me today, Mairin.
Of
I
course,
really
thanks for having
appreciate
me on. It's great to talk about this.
it. Are you in need of homemaking counseling, homemaking mentorship, homemaking accountability? Then Simplified Organization Community Coaching is for you, with step-by-step lessons and actions week by week for a full year, with catch-up weeks and a summer break built in. Every cohort of Simplified Organization Community Coaching gradually iterates every piece of home and family life. Get holistic, Christ-centered, honest help with your home management habits. Join us for Simplified Organization Community Coaching. It's included in every Convivial Circle membership, but you have to join the 2025 cohort, open now until January 6th. So join today and spend 2025 improving your homemaking routines with cheerful iteration. Just go to simplyconvivial.com and click the purple button in the upper corner to join today, and we will repent, rejoice, repeat.